self-care, prioritizing self-love. But from my cis allies, I want you to know something. I want you to know what Team TERF means. It's not a funny word like NERF. People think it's like NERF. Team TERF, trans exclusionary radical politics, means that bodies and gender and sexual identity must always line up, as J.K. Rowling thinks they should.
Fuck J.K. Rowling.
Team TERF means the same thing as saying trans people aren't real people.
Come on.
That trans people are half a person. Team TERF, for me as a Jew, sounds a lot like Jews are rats, not actual people. And if I'm not a real person, it's very hard to get health care.
Wait. Yes.
I can't get health care, and I can't get an appointment with a surgeon or a therapist. I can't get residential treatment. Why? Because people don't make appointments for people they don't think are real.
Come on.
You can't get health care if you're not real. What else do I want besides people believing that I'm real? I want... Holy shit, I would love to pitch to a trans person. I would love to pitch to a trans person. I would love to have a trans person giving me notes on my story. I want a trans agent. I want a trans manager. I want them pushing back on my behalf. I want so many trans critics in the newspapers. I want so many awards voted on by so fucking many trans people. And as this power movement gets off the ground, I invite my cis allies and my friends in this business, who are not here, but hopefully will read about it from Dominic. Tell them, Dominic. Tell my friends. The right is using anti-trans bills as their bait to get people involved in 2022. In the past year, 11 anti-trans bills have been passed, more than the past 10 years combined. The right is lining up to use the bait of critical race theory and anti-trans bills in neighborhoods in small scales to win the 2022 election. We need your help. We want your outrage. We want you to spread the word. I want my cis allies, I want my colleagues, my friends, the people that hire me to know that this is not about our lack, but rather your lack of imagination.
Come on.
We need your help. Remind your colleagues it doesn't take anything away from cisgender people to acknowledge and be kind to trans people. There is no lack of abundance. Don't make things worse. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Joey. And I just really quickly want to name that as much as I literally, I'm the first openly trans person to run for California state office, and I absolutely sometimes hate politics because of how violent it becomes, but my hate of politics doesn't take away from the reality of it. And it's important to know who Netflix is. So while our trans non-binary siblings and accomplices are the pulse of this company, the people who make the decisions are people like Reed Hastings, who gave a fuck ton of money to anti-abortion movements across the country. So let's be very clear. Let's make no mistake about who we're dealing with. When they talk about the good old boys club, they're being very specific. Like, that's a very real thing. There are people, we make jokes about the Illuminati, but the 1% is its own Illuminati. And it will protect its own interests at the expense of those. And it's so conniving that it will smile to your face while it does it. And so it's important that, again, like I said, we can't heal what we don't reveal. So we have to not only name the injustices, but we have to name the people who make the decisions. So when they, I hope they really do listen to what we're saying and they are prepared to make the changes that we present today, because if not, we already know who the top shareholders are of the company. Okay. I have names. I have their favorite food, where they like to vacation.
And we'll be there, honey.
I know what boards they sit on. I know their favorite coffee spot in the south of France. I know it all. I've never been a cashier, but I stay with receipts. So we need to make it clear that we can't just keep treating injustice as if it's this this invisible energy that's off in the ether. There are faces, there are names, there are decision makers, there are tables, there are places where these conversations are happening that we are going to be a part of those conversations in those rooms. And instead of us waiting for a seat at the table, we're the one that's going to be serving up the menu. This is what we've decided, that this is what we're having today.
Okay.
I know you came for transphobia with the side of, you know, homophobia, but today we're serving up equity. Today we're serving up leadership opportunities that don't exploit but that advance. We're serving up cross-cultural solidarity that moves all of us forward. We're disrupting these notions of scarcity, because when we think about the violence that happens, it's coming from a place of scarcity, and often it's rooted in the fear that we'll never have enough or that will never be enough. And so we have to get to a place where we no longer need these extrinsic forces to define that for us. And so we're here today not to defend our dignity, not to explain ourselves, but to show the trans and non-binary youth at home, to those who are in workplaces who couldn't get off today, to those who are inside of those walls because they need to be where they are so that they can advocate for us on the inside. It's important that, like Nina said, we understand that this is a high vibrational joy where we're a moment where we're tapping into joy as an act of resistance. Because when you think about what oppression is meant to do, it's meant to shatter you from the inside out. It's meant to destroy your ambitions. It's meant to destroy your aspirations. It's meant to make you so afraid to come out into the world, let alone come outside of yourself. It's an attempt to try to suppress every aspect of who you are. And today we push back against that by not only telling stories, but showing up in solidarity and being visible where they try to invisibilize us. So we're going to keep the conversation going because pretty soon, they're going to come pretty soon. So we're going to have one more speaker, and then we're going to keep going.
Who else is pissed? My name's Carter A. I'm an actor and filmmaker in West Hollywood, and I was watching this 2 nights ago with my fiance, and I literally could not believe that this was just put out. I was also very upset by the Me Too movement comments. Dave in his special said to read your history. The Me Too movement, he wants to talk about that it's a bunch of white, frumpy dykes walking around crying about men raping them. The Me Too movement was started by a black woman. Who needs to read their history books? Tarana Burke, she started that movement. The ignorance that he's provoking when he's talking about what trans people look like, there's not one way to look trans. There's not one way to look trans. Mental illness, suicide, rape is not a fucking joke. And none of us are laughing. We're out here because of it. I feel really bad for any child who is struggling with their gender, their sexuality, who turn to Netflix to feel better and watch comedy, and that's what they turn on.
Yep. Fuck that.
I feel like it's so important as a filmmaker to write trans stories and put trans people in that role, and to make sure that those roles are done correctly. Also, put trans people in roles that have nothing to do with their identity, because we are who we say we are. I am a man. Put me in a man's role. Put trans women in roles that have nothing to do with being trans. I am most inspired by my community because I see you all living your authentic self fearlessly. Fearlessly, with no judgment from anyone about the outside, with hate. People that are standing on this corner with signs with hateful things on them, I just want to say, I hope one day you love yourself the same way we love who we are. I want to thank Ashley, our organizer, for putting this together. We're all out here because you have made it a safe space for all of us to fight for what we deserve. This is not even a point of like trying to get something above. No, we just want to be seen as equal. So thank you everyone coming out. Thank you to cis allies as well, because we need you here. We need you. You guys all need to be coming out and supporting us because your love inspires us, and we are the reason we inspire you. So thank you for being out here today, guys.
All right, folks, we're going to start with a quick callback. Let me take this off. I want you all to say 3 words. I am here. Say it with me. I am here. One more time. I am here. Una vez. I am here. Thank you all. My name is Camila Camelion. I'm a representative from Gender Justice Los Angeles. We've been doing resistance work in the community for 19 years, and we'll be here for even longer because this work is longer than us. I have a quick speech from our ED, Isaac, so I just wanted to come here to say it. The replication of this rhetoric is a shame. Say it with me. A shame. Our lives are not comedic sound bites or moments for boardrooms and employees to funnel money into the harmful content that negatively impacts our communities. To shift the environment around Netflix, one must understand that this exact situation has occurred time and time again through the minstrelsy of our entertainment landscape. Black, Indigenous, people of color have been mitigated to forms of subjugating entertainment, which in turn furthers the violence enacted on our very own bodies. To imagine a new world for both consumers and employees of Netflix, we must dream of guidelines and policies that take our existence into consideration. The realm of entertainment is changing, but to move forward collectively is to understand that where the money goes for projects needs to change. I want us all to dream of stories you want to hear, people you want to see both in front of and behind the screen, and even think of your own creative self to know that it is possible. There are a ton of trans writers that exist already, but we need new and more new diverse writers as well. New visionaries, individuals of all gender diverse experiences and expressions who seek to continue to recreate and imagine this brave new world to showcase their story. To journal, to write, to heal from past, present, and historical trauma that lives and moves within us. As this is part of GJLA's healing justice practice, we invite you to come along with us on this journey. On our monthly membership meetings, we host them on the last Thursday from 6 to 7 p.m. where we do healing justice practice. It's a quick plug. And the last thing I'll share, folks, is that the landscape that we are currently in, the entertainment landscape that we are in is changing, and it needs to change. The people here today are hurting. We are hurting, we are infuriated, and we are rightfully enraged. Our collective capacity is to create a world in which trans, gender nonconforming, and intersex individuals of all ages can see a kaleidoscope of experiences for TGI futures. Thank you.
My name is Cheryl Rich, and real quick, my life, pregnant at 11, raped by a priest, told I was bad, internalized, and shot heroin, 4 years, 5 months in the penitentiary, got out, only kid got killed in a car accident. I go back, I get a master's in clinical psychology. I just executive produced an all-gay black talk show, first time in Hollywood. Let me say this, America's first heroes were America's first crooks. That I want you to understand, I wish I could claim that. Ray Love said that. Nobody wants to hurt anyone unless they are hurting. They are rotting inside. And I'm going to tell you something. I don't look at TV much. I'm Auntie Cheryl, baby. The private prison system got my people in the joint. How do I know? I've been there. We got people my age, 62, saying they don't want to be called Auntie. Who else going to be? Now, I say this about Dave Chappelle, and I keep it quick. I don't watch TV, and I normally don't even think about movies. I used to watch Dave all the time. This time I sat and I looked. It took me forever to laugh. I said, what's happening, my brother? Did you get a payoff? What is wrong? What happened? Now, I will wrap by saying this, Ashley, on the front line for all of y'all. Yeah. And I want you to know I stand. Anybody that want to hurt anybody is hurting inside. Heal yourself. to the core. Now I finally say, Dave Chappelle, come to the table. Come to the table and let's heal as we hurt. Because if you don't, I say to the top of Netflix, you're hurting. Look in the mirror. Learn to love yourself. Because you can be funny and you can be nice. You ain't got to hurt nobody unless you hurt. Enough. Thank you, Ashley. I'm proud of hell. I got some targets.
So before we have, like we greet our folks who are walking out from the location, I have a very special person here that I'm going to pass the mic to, and I don't want to spoil it for you. We've had a change of plans, and they're going to explain to you why they're so special and why they're here and why we also need to stand behind them more than anything.
Hello, everyone. My name is B. Pagels Minor, and until October 14th, I was a Netflix employee. I'm here today because I'm free. I actually get to talk to each of you about what's been going on here. And most importantly, as I listened to many of these speakers earlier, I thought about the fact that last year when I turned 35, I cried profusely. People like me, black trans people, being a 35 makes you a grandma, a granddad, a grand uncle, AUNCLE, because you survived when so many black trans people do not survive every year. On November 20th, on Trans Day of Remembrance, 2/3 of that list will be black trans people who were killed just because of who they are. I am from Mississippi. I'm from a place that when I go home, I am terrified to be mistaken or to be misconstrued or to make people upset because I know what's going to happen to me. But having said all that, as one of my last acts of love, as the former ERG lead for Transtar, I get to read out the ask from Transtar specifically that we wrote. So first and foremost, there are 3 categories that Transtar wants. First is content investment, second is employee relations and safety, and third is harm reduction. So for content investment, Transtar wants to create a new fund to specifically develop trans and non-binary talent. This fund should support both above the line and below the line talent. This fund should exist in addition to the existing Creative Equity Fund. They want to increase investment in trans and non-binary content on Netflix comparable to our total investment in transphobic content, including marketing and promotion. They want to invest in multiple trans creators to make both scripted and unscripted programs across genres. They want to revise internal processes on commissioning and releasing potential harmful, sensitive content, including but not limited to involving parties who are part of the subject community and can speak to potential harm or consulting with third-party experts and vendors. They want to increase the ERG role in conversations around potentially harmful content and ensure we have best-in-class regional support on complicated intersectional diversity issues. They want to hire trans and non-binary content executives, especially BIPOC individuals, in leading positions. Under employee relations and safety, they want to recruit trans people, especially BIPOC, for leadership roles in the company and promote an inclusive environment for them. They want to allow employees to remove themselves from previous company promotional content. They want to eliminate references and imagery of transphobic titles or talent inside of the workplace, including but not limited to murals, posters, room names, and swag. Under harm reduction, they want to acknowledge the harm and Netflix's responsibility for this harm from transphobic content, and in particular harm to the black trans community. They want to add a disclaimer before transphobic titles that specifically flag transphobic language, misogyny, homophobia, hate speech, etc. as required. They want to boost the promotion for disclosure and other trans-affirming titles in the platform. And they want to suggest trans-affirming content alongside and after content flagged as anti-trans. As a last statement, the Transtar community would like to say, we are employees, but we are members too. We believe that this company can and must do better in our quest to entertain the world, and that the way forward must include more diverse voices in order to avoid causing more harm. The Transtar ERG looks forward to working with the company to make this a better, more entertaining place for us all. And from me personally, as most of you know, I'm 33 weeks pregnant. And when I thought about why I'm participating in this, it's that my son does not grow up with content that says that it hates me. I want my child to grow up in a world where they see that their parent a black trans person, because I exist contrary to what the special says, contrary to what many people say, that I'm valued and I'm an important person as well.
Yes.
And thank you.
And just to be clear, many of you, I saw there were comments on my post about like kind of coming for me, because I get it. Like when we're traumatized, when we're wounded, when we're hurting, we're flailing left and right. And there were people who basically said like, what about that employee that they fired, that black non-binary pregnant person? This was the individual who many of you read about that Netflix had accused of like leaking and like, you know, content and everything, when in reality, it was simply bringing voices together so that there was a clear understanding of what the ask was. And what we know is that whenever we speak up for ourselves and for others, we're immediately targeted. There's immediately a hit on us, and we're seen as dangerous simply for naming the elephant in the room. And so I think that it's important that when we have these conversations around economic justice, and when we talk about you know, what it means to have opportunity and equity, that we don't send people in blindly to fight for themselves, that we actually show up and that we stay on their heads, that we actually keep them accountable, that we do our due diligence, right? So we talk about the importance of doing our homework for trans people and non-binary folks. We need to do our homework about economics and around companies and around stocks and around how they're getting their money, essentially. And when you follow the money, you always get the answers that you need about who these people are and why they're and what their bottom line is. And so I think that this is an important opportunity to, again, show up for the people who don't have support. Showing up looks like creating platforms for them to tell their stories. Showing up looks like being willing to, you know, create opportunities for them. When they discard one of us, somebody should be there to pick them up. Yes. Let me say it again. When they discard one of us, somebody should be there to pick them back up. And there's a lot of influential, powerful folks here. We may not be many, but we are definitely mighty.
All right, man.
Let me say that again. We may not be many, but we're definitely mighty. And so I think it's important that we don't have to necessarily have all the answers today right away, but I do think it's important that we start having conversations with one another that are rooted in truth. And I think truth is the gateway to true progress. It's about talking about the things that make us uncomfortable, because the reason we haven't been liberated is we're prioritizing convenience and comfort over our liberation. We're saying that it's hard. It's not easy. What if I'm alone? What if nobody shows up? These are all thoughts that all of us have. It's a thought that I had even. It broke my heart. Let me just be candid with y'all for a second. It broke my fucking heart that I reached out to a lot of folks who I know have a horse in this race, and they gave me reasons for why they couldn't show up. Some of them were valid. Some of them, I was just like, wow. Like the thing, it was almost like what somebody said a moment ago about they'll show up to kiki with us in public. They'll show up to ride the waves of those moments where we're being centered. And they remind us of how much allies they are. And yeah, we rock with this, we rock with that. But when the shit hits the fan, when the gauntlet is dropped, when they start coming for us in some of the most violent ways, when they flood our feed, when they make death threats. I got death threats this morning. And the thing that I had to say to them was, bitch, if I ain't dead yet, I'm not going nowhere. And I think about the people who come before me. I stand on the shoulders of giants. I think about Miss Major Gracie Griffin, who said, and at the end of the day, when the dust settles, I'm still here. And so the thing is, it's important that we really, again, this moment is about healing. It is about honesty. It is about transparency. It is about being high vibrational. And when I say high vibrational, let me be very clear. I'm not talking about spiritual bypassing. Okay. When I'm saying high vibrational, I'm not talking about this notion that we have to suppress our trauma, that we have to put on a smile and just walk through as if. I'm talking about the reminder to ourselves that we don't have to do it alone. Yes. The reminder to ourselves that there's someone there to carry us, that there's someone there to pick us up, that there's somebody there to stand next to us, that there's somebody there who won't judge us, but who will be willing to help put us back together. And I think that that's what this moment is. We are fucking broken, y'all. It's way too much. In many cases, even in the organizing that we're doing, you'd be amazed at how many people told me I'm a damn fool for coming out here and trying to talk to these people and trying to have conversations, but I'm not doing it for them, I'm doing it for us, because this is what power looks like. I'm doing it to demonstrate what power looks like. And many of us have never touched it, we've never tasted it, we've never interacted with it, but the reality is it's been in us the entire time. And so these kind of events and conversations are designed to help bring that out of you. And the beautiful part is that you don't have to do it like me. You don't have to do it like Blossom. You don't have to do it like Nina. You don't have to do it like any of the Netflix employees. You do it in a way that feels right for you, because we all have something to contribute to this moment. We all have something to this paradigm shift. And this is why it's important that we show up to Netflix, because we can't make people have an interest in politics. We can't make people have an interest in trans liberation. We can't make people stand up for women's rights or have an interest in, or even understand how it directly impacts them. Because let's be very clear, transphobia affects everyone. Transphobia affects cisgender women. Transphobia affects non-binary people. Transphobia affects cisgender hetero men in the policing of their masculinity. Transphobia, and in many cases, they can't even name the violence that's happened to them, which is where they're projecting all this hate from. You know, we have to create these hubs for healing. And so the reality is we can't see these as isolated issues, but we have to see the way that our liberation is connected. And so the thing is, entertainment has that power. Entertainment is that medium to move messaging. It's that opportunity to meet people where they are, because we watch entertainment because it gives us an opportunity to see ourselves reflected back to us. And in those moments, we can tell those stories, and they cross over and they overlap because our identities are intersectional. So if you're watching programming about the Latinx experience, you may see something about trans identity. You may see something about economic injustice. You may see something about the struggles and the harm, but it bleeds over into the trans experience. When you see something about the Black experience, which is why I think it was violent that Dave Chappelle tried to pit queer identity with Blackness, as if Black, queer, and trans folks don't exist. Y'all got eyes? Y'all see us? You see it. No matter how hard media has sometimes intentionally and unintentionally tried to invisibilize us and erase us, you see us. And so this is the thing that ultimately I leave you with before they arrive, and we're going to keep going, but I want you to know that our liberation is linked. It is linked, because if they're coming for us today, they will come for you tomorrow. Matter of fact, let me scratch that. They're already in your driveway. Some of y'all gonna head home and they're already in your driveway. So there is no, when they come for us, they're coming for you. They're already here for all of us. And so it's important for us to keep this moment going. And again, just think about the ways that we can show up for other people. As a Black trans woman, whose identities connect with various communities, I still have to show up for reproductive justice, even though I can't reproduce personally. I still have to show up for incarcerated folks, even though I never got caught. Allegedly. So, you know, I'm housed, but I still have to show up for the unhoused. You can see a bitch ain't missing no meals, but I still have to show up for those who are hungry. So we can't keep disconnecting ourselves from these experiences because they don't directly show up in our lives in clear sight. We have to be intentional about looking around to see not only how it impacts us, but to see what we have to contribute to the moment. So let's keep the conversation going till they get here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Silicon Kiodara. Me and her go way back, honey.
Don't be telling my business.
Okay. Yes, bitch. Listen, I'm so proud of her, and I'm pissed as fuck. You know what? I'm demanding that Netflix fire the fuck out of what the fuck his name is. Sarandon, whatever. Honey, if you're gonna come for one of us, you better take on the whole entire motherfucking LGBTQ community. Okay? And for some of, you gay men talking about, oh, Ashley's pulling this fucking son. Fuck you! You know something? It's been because of trans women of color who fucking protested that gave you and me the ability to suck cock. Oh, okay, that's not true. I suck cock anyways, but, girl, I didn't think it was going to go there. But anyhow, I just want to sit up here and I want to, thank everybody for showing up. You understand what I'm saying? Because like she said, honey, when they come for one of us, they come for all of us. Okay? And I am my my sister's keepers, honey. Okay? I love you.
Just gonna take this mask off. First off, thank you, Ashley. We go way back too. Ashley's been out here doing work for a long time, longer than you guys can even imagine. I actually have a personal experience as well being trans in film. I don't talk about this a lot, but I was fired from my job after I came out being trans, and there was no HR protections. They essentially thought that because I was too cool, I was told this by one of my former employees. God bless you, Kelly Weaver, wherever you are right now. I hope you are living at large. Some of my fellow employees called me and they're like, "Hey, they don't really don't have enough money not to pay you. It's just because I was being way too cool at my transition. I wasn't worried about people calling me a new name or whatever. I never even thought about that. And it became a thing with the office where people thought that if they misgendered me or something, because I didn't have a problem with it, that I was going to go somewhere, so they fired me. And I almost lost all of my insurance and everything. I remember being on the floor of my house crying because I had nothing. My family had just walked away from me. I was losing friends. I was going through this transition that I didn't know, and the only thing I had was my fucking job, and I literally wanted to kill myself. And thank God my therapist literally fronted me therapy, and I actually met Ashley shortly after this, and she really just gave me the incentive not to give up. And we worked together for a little while on a really cool project, actually, and we weren't paid. It sucked. But I just want to say thank you, Ashley, for doing this, because there are not a lot of people who are out here speaking for our rights. People are afraid, and I was afraid too. I could have sued. Can I say who? The Bachelor fired me. I did JoJo's. Yeah. And it is what it is. There's no HR protections there. And so these things are going on in other companies. And often when we bring up a problem and want to take care of it, the people who are doing this aren't being affected. If I would have sued The Bachelor, my coworkers would have been, who were actually there for me, probably would have been the ones affected, and not people up in the office. And that's why Ashley is out here doing this. And that's why these fucking stupid ass people out here, they're like, oh, you guys can't take a joke. Actually, Dave Chappelle, I used to think he was very funny. He's one of my comedic inspirations. And fuck your couch, Dave Chappelle. Fuck your couch.
Hey everybody. I was gonna take my mask off, but okay, I'll do it. I'll show you guys my beautiful face. Stop. Okay. First and foremost, I want to say that trans women are women. I am a trans woman. I've never came out as a trans woman. This is my first time. I figured this is the perfect time to come out. And it's the truth. You know, you hide because you don't feel like you will be accepted. You feel like you would be the butt of all jokes. Like Dave Chappelle, how he promotes, and Netflix, they promote it. I just knew I had to be a part of this because I've lost a lot just being who I am, and I am very stern and very sturdy about who I am. I know who I am, and there's nothing anybody can tell me that is going to change how I see myself when I look in the mirror. I see a beautiful lady when I look in the mirror. This is a beautiful woman right here. I don't think she's any different from me. I'm pretty sure you look at a beautiful woman when you look in the mirror, right? Exactly. So I don't see what the hate is. I was in a gym last night working out, trying to keep my body, looking good. There was a girl in the gym, and she asked one of the ladies that was cleaning the gym,
there's guys coming here, but she said it in Spanish. But little do she know, baby, I understand some Spanish. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to talk to the manager, and I wanted to make sure that everybody was welcome to the gym. You mean to tell me I can't get an education because I'm trans? I can't work. I have to have a entry-level position all my fucking life because I'm a trans. I can't go to the gym and work out and make myself look good mentally and physically, make my body look good. Like, it's like no rights for trans. And this right here is, I really, really appreciate you doing something like this. It's inspired me. It's an inspiration because when I was growing up, I didn't have this. I didn't have this to look up to. So I was by myself. I didn't have friends in school. My family didn't support me. So social media was like non-existent, and to have a platform, social media is everything now. And whatever you put on social media is gonna always be on social media. And right now, times have changed. We're not in the early 1900s. We're not in the late 19s or early 2000s. Like, we are a new generation of people. We are a new generation. We're speaking up about important things. We want to make changes. We want to be a part of change. And we're going to keep fighting until we see change, because we're not just fighting for us today. We're fighting for the youth trans people that it's going to have to, they're gonna one day have to go through what I possibly went through, and they may not. They have an opportunity to see people. I'm so sorry, I didn't even catch your name, Ashley. I do apologize. I'm so sorry about that. For Miss Ashley, she's doing something that is going to give to the youth, and that's really what you're doing too. This is not just for us. You're not just fighting for us. You're fighting for the youth. You're fighting for the us when we were like young and we were trying to be ourselves. Like, we didn't have anybody to encourage us and make us feel beautiful. So all my trans girls, trans people, non-binary, we're all special, and this is just pretty much just a message that they're trying to keep alive, to keep us down, to make us like feel like we're not worth living and we should be ashamed of who we are. And that's their problem. Like, we're not insecure with who we are, and we're brave enough to be who we are, and we don't fucking give a fuck. Like, and people who can't see us for who we are, we don't need to even see them. We just need to walk away from them. And don't be fighting, please, because they do not like us. They are killing trans people all the time. And it's very hurtful, and it just has to stop. And Netflix, while we're here, I'm on the Netflix ground. Yes. Ashley. Hey. How about that job at Netflix? Yeah. Oh, give me my sign. I wanted to show you guys something. And this is something that I feel with trans, and I feel like my expression of, well, partial of it. And I put be kind, because people are not kind to us at all. Really, and mostly the heterosexual, I've noticed. Trans are super brave, and I just said that we are very brave because we're living our life. I've been who I am since I was kindergarten. Listen, there is nothing nobody can tell me. I'm a girl, okay? I've been who I am since kindergarten, okay? I'm super brave for being a young kid and being true to myself still to this day. And I'm just very proud of myself. And trans, we are humans, so I would really like and appreciate if people would stop treating trans like they're not humans and just completely disrespecting them and disregarding their feelings and their heart. Like, we don't have a heart, we have a soul, we have a mind, we have a body, just like any other heterosexual person who may not understand what a trans person is. Okay, we are humans. And it's all love. Trans people, we're all love. We don't bother anybody. I know somebody said earlier that we don't bother, and we really do not bother anybody. It's all love. Like, if you saw me in public or anywhere, I would talk to you. I would be very kind and polite. Like, what reason would you have to be any other way towards me? Like, if I'm being nice to you. Treat trans people with respect because they deserve it. Definitely. So yeah, and that's it. I wasn't even gonna do this, but I'm just very proud of myself. And thank you so much, Ashley, for putting this together. You're absolutely amazing, and you're definitely gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Hi everyone. So we're going to change orientation here, meaning like literally like our landscape view. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring in the Netflix employees on this side, but we're going to turn the speaker this way. So that's it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
Awesome. Yeah, it's turned all the way up. So like are we parting ways? Are we parting ways? If y'all want to move in closer in the back, you're gonna move in. So on the count of 3, before us are the brave, courageous souls that not only took a stand for themselves, but a stand for all of us. And we're gonna cheer with everything that we have in us for them. So on the count of 3, 3, 2, 1. And then we're gonna chant Team Trans, 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 Team Trans. I just want to say, you all are some of the most courageous people that I have seen in a long time. At a time when we're coming off of a global pandemic where there's so much uncertainty up in the air, you chose to choose principles over politics. And we see and celebrate you for that. At a time where not only you're being attacked for your identity in public places, it's become unsafe in the workplace, you don't need to say it to us. We see that. And we want to thank you so much because not only are you doing the right thing in a moment where it's crucial and critical that we speak up, but you are preserving the legacy for those coming behind us. You are moving the conversation forward with how we talk about economic justice and equity. Because we always talk about the jobs we deserve, but when we show up to the jobs, we still need to show up for one another. And we know that y'all can't say too much, and that's okay. We know how this works. But we just want you to know that we're here today in this moment, but we're not going anywhere. We are going to continue to show up. We will continue to show out. Even if we have to give you a new boss, we're willing to do that. And I just want to thank you all so much again from the bottom of our heart, because again, what you have done is created a cultural moment for us all. You are showing us this is what the blueprint looks like. The thing is that we will lose everything we have trying to protect nothing. We have so much more to gain, and so what you taught us is that we don't have to settle for the crumbs that fall from the table. What your visibility and your presence has done is taught us that there is wealth in our principle and in our integrity beyond anything that they could try to bribe us with. And we just, again, like, we celebrate you, we see you, but more importantly, we will not stop until those demands are met. We want you to know that we're not going to send you back into that building empty-handed. We want you to know that none of this was aimed. We want you to know that we're watching closely and that we are going to make sure that any weapon of retaliation formed against you won't prosper. We're coming to let you know that your bosses won't even have bandwidth to come after you because they're going to be trying to cover their ass with the little they have left. And you don't have to say anything because your presence said it all. So thank you so much. Team Trans, 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 Team Trans. Thank you all so much, and I also just want to name that there are a couple of Facebook and Instagram groups that are following this. We also want you to follow some of the other folks like Tara, I can't think of Tara's last name, who was the person who was suspended, who's talking about it a lot. We want you to also follow B, who was the black non-binary community member who came up and read out those firm ads because they, in collaboration